What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. My name is Dante Toro, and today I'm going to be listing 10 things that WWE shouldn't do in 2025. Now, these are 10 things that I think WWE shouldn't do in 2025, so if you agree with me or disagree with me or have something else that you feel like WWE shouldn't do, please let me know in the comments. Make sure to like and subscribe. Check out all the other videos on this platform. And without further ado, let's jump into it. The first one I have is WWE shouldn't let John Cena win the Intercontinental Championship and become a Grand Slam champion. Now, a lot of people might not like me saying that. A lot of people might disagree with me because they're like, John Cena should win the Intercontinental Championship. He should win the championship that he's never won. He should become a Grand Slam champion. He's the GOAT. He should have that to his name. I hear you. I get where you're coming from, but I don't agree. There are so many legends in history that haven't won the Intercontinental Championship or become a Grand Slam champion. That's not the end-all be-all. I don't think that's an accomplishment that, yeah, it looks good on paper. You won about as many titles as you can in the company, but at the same time, we're gonna remember John Cena for being the 16, maybe 17-time world champion when it's all said and done. Not that he was a one-time Intercontinental champion. With all that being said, John Cena is only back for a year. Yes, it's a year. It sounds like a long time, but once we get going and we have all these stories and superstars we want him to face, he's not going to be able to mix in winning the IC title and going after the 17th championship, in my opinion. So while you have him, focus on one thing, focus on him winning his 17th world championship and keep it at that. Second one I have is WWE shouldn't waste their Money in the Bank match. Now, last year, Drew McIntyre won the Money in the Bank match and cashed in the briefcase later in the night on Seth Rollins and Damian Priest. As we all know, CM Punk got involved like he did in every single one of Drew McIntyre's world title matches, cost Drew the match, no more Money in the Bank briefcase. Damian Priest is still world champion. Now I get that Drew winning the briefcase did add to that story. At the time, I was a little upset over the fact they used the briefcase as a prop in this feud that I feel like didn't really need it. But in the grand scheme of things, it added to the rivalry. It was feud of the year for a reason, so that was a big part of it. But looking back now, it is kind of foolish that we do have this Money in the Bank concept, and WWE has been awful with their men's winners over the last few years. So what I'm saying here really is just pointing to the men and not the women, because I think the women's Money in the Bank has been a lot better than the men's over the last few years. Since 2016, I think the only Money in the Bank winners that actually benefited from it and it worked was Big E and Damian Priest. Over the last 8-9 years, there really haven't been many Money in the Bank winners that benefited from it. Go back to giving it to a wrestler that's on the cusp of becoming a main event star, that's on the cusp of breaking into the main event scene, the world championship scene, someone that is a mid-card superstar. This is what the match is for. It's meant to elevate that person to the next level. We're seeing it with Tiffany Stratton right now. We saw it with Damian Priest last year, like I mentioned. Let's go back to that. Let's not waste a briefcase for a match later in the night. The third one is WWE shouldn't be afraid to pull the trigger on shocking title wins. Since Triple H has taken over, shocking title wins isn't something that we are used to seeing like we were for years with Vince McMahon in charge. Triple H, which I understand, likes the longer title reigns. It makes the title feel a little bit more prestigious. Giving someone a long-term story, I think, is better for the business than having no really long-term plans and just bouncing belts around like hot potato, giving it to guys all the time. At the same time, those shocking title wins are important, and I really do think adds to the overall story of what's going on, or it can add to the story. The fans love it. It's great for social media reactions and in the crowd. Like, shocking moments aren't a bad thing. Shinsuke Nakamura most recently won the United States Championship at Survivor Series, which was a shocking title change to a lot of people because it was kind of a quick build-up. Shinsuke just came back. LA Knight had the belt for months since SummerSlam, and Shinsuke came in and won. It's a shocking moment, and I understand it's just the US belt, but I do think you can kind of do the same thing for world championships in 2025. Shocking world title changes can be tricky, but if you plan it out long-term, again, you have these long-term stories, but while you're doing that, you're like, okay, at this point we're gonna have someone come in, shocking moment, or we give the belt back to you, or you kind of add it into the story, you kind of plan it out ahead. If we look back years ago, like Sami Zayn and Roman Reigns, a lot of people wanted Sami Zayn to win in Canada, but we all know, looking back on it, Sami was a chapter in Roman Reigns' story. That's a story that was written, and WWE knew what the ending of that was going to be for a while, so unfortunately for Sami, that wasn't in the cards. But I can see someone like Gunther nowadays, where yes, he's been built up as this big, unbeatable, well, he's been beaten a few times over the last few months, but he's been built up as this dominant world champion that I feel like could take a loss, a shocking loss, and then just get the win right back. I think WWE could pull off something like that. Again, it might be something they have to long-term book and kind of squeeze in a shocking victory in that story, but I do think it's something that they could benefit from, and I think will only help them as far as fan response, social media response, and all that stuff. The fourth one is WWE shouldn't continue to have only 5 matches on PLEs. Hunter, Triple H, Paul, whatever you want me to call you. It's okay to have more than 5 matches on a card. I don't know if there's some sort of like backstage like bit or something where he's just like, I'm gonna do 5 matches here. The fans are gonna hate it, but it's like an inside joke. He loves doing it, or like maybe he's in debt with someone, and if he has a match, more than 5 matches, he has 6 matches on a card, they're gonna come after his fame. I don't fucking know what the logic is of why there only has to be 5 matches, but 6 or 7 matches isn't going to kill anybody, Hunter. Especially now that you've introduced the Women's United States, the Women's Intercontinental, and it seems like you're trying to put more of a focus on the tag team division. It's important to have more matches on bigger cards, on PLEs, so those superstars, those belts get more exposure in a bigger spotlight. The tag team division has been in the shitter for the last God knows how long. And if we look at the stats, the belts haven't been featured on a PLE, I think, since WrestleMania. So when belts aren't being featured on your biggest shows, people aren't gonna care. Yeah, you could have big matches on television and advertise a SmackDown. If the main event's a tag team championship, that's great. I think that's nice to have, but you still need to feature them on a PLE. And not even just for those championships, the new ones like I mentioned, even just for 2 superstars or multiple superstars that have a story going on. Don't discredit them. Don't take them off the card because there's no room. Since you can have more than 5 matches, because you can fit that in there. So I think WWE really should get away from this whole 5 matches bullshit, because it really is stupid. I mean, it makes the card a bit more predictable, and I guess like the short amount of matches, you let them cook for longer and the matches are longer, can be better quality, but I think you can accomplish quality and quantity at the same time if you make it work, and Triple H, I know you can. So enough of the 5 matches. Number 5, WWE shouldn't allow The Rock to use his creative power, his creative control to win the WWE Championship. Now, the idea of The Rock in 2025 winning the WWE Championship, as crazy as it sounds, it actually does sound like a cool idea, because the final boss, in my opinion, is turning out to be, and after this upcoming run, could be the best character that The Rock has ever had. But I don't think whatever feud The Rock enters requires him, or he needs to win a championship. The last time we saw The Rock, he made it very clear that he's gonna come back for Cody Rhodes and go after that WWE Championship, and that's great. I think that'll be a great match, because The Rock did pin Cody at WrestleMania 40, so he does kind of owe The Rock a match there. But whether they have this match, if they do have this match, The Rock should not win, because obviously that's gonna lead in, that's gonna jumpstart a feud with Roman Reigns, which I have said for as long as they have been hyping up this match, for as long as they have been teasing it, speculating it, whatever, that match does not need a belt. It does not need the WWE Championship. It doesn't need the World Heavyweight Championship. It doesn't need a Tribal Chief Championship. I know that's been a rumor. I don't think it's true, but who's the head of the table? Who's the true Tribal Chief? That's all you really need. So The Rock coming in here and using his control to win another World Championship, I think would be bogus. Again, I love The Rock, and I think him winning a World Championship in 2025, as crazy as it seems, does sound kind of cool, but I don't think he should win a match against Cody Rhodes if it is for the championship. If he wants to fight Roman and that sets up a 1-match feud, 2-match trilogy, whatever it may be, that's fine, but it should not be for the championship. That being said, I would love it if The Rock did use his creative power to insert himself as number 31 in the Royal Rumble. That would be fucking hilarious if that happened. I would be so down for that, because I think it fits the character perfectly, all this and that. But if that does lead to a championship match, if he wins the Rumble, whatever, he shouldn't win. Number 6, WWE shouldn't continue making a mockery out of the tag team division. Let me throw a few tag teams at you, okay? We have DIY, Motor City Machine Guns, War Raiders, Street Profits, New Day, Pretty Deadly, American Made, the Wyatt Six you can throw in there, the Usos, because they seem to be going back together here, the New Bloodline, eventually Penta and Rey Fenix. You have so many talented tag teams. You have, and I'm leaving off a few. I know I'm leaving off a few. There's other tag teams in there that we can throw in the mix. Why doesn't WWE put more of a focus on them? Why is Triple H, why has WWE really just put the tag team division in the rearview mirror and has been focusing on everything else? There's only so much time in a week that you can insert all these superstars, all these storylines, right? But when you get criticism for not featuring a division that is filled with so many talented superstars and tag teams, it's justified why people get pissed off about the tag team division not getting any focus, because you have all those teams, like I mentioned, they made a huge deal about splitting the tag team titles back at WrestleMania, something that fans have been asking for years for WWE to do. They do it, and it's like after they did that, they just stopped caring about the tag team division. SmackDown's going to 3 hours now. Raw's gonna go back to 3 hours. You're gonna have that extra hour for both shows to really showcase these tag teams. And for what it's worth, go after more free agent tag teams. Clearly, we see how Motor City Machine Guns has been successful since coming to WWE. Go after more free agent tag teams. Penta and Fenix, like I mentioned, should be on the way soon. I know Penta is already rumored to be signed. Or Fenix, there's stuff going on. But if WWE can go out, get more bigger names, and truly build up this tag team division, I really think it could be one of the best divisions in wrestling in WWE. Number 7, WWE shouldn't drop the ball with Finn Balor or Kevin Owens in 2025. Both of these men, or at least one of them, should have a world championship run in 2025. Over the last, since 2016 maybe, every time these superstars are in a world title match, they're the fall guys. They get these opportunities, they get their one-on-one matches, their multi-man matches, whatever the hell it is, and they can never come out on top. And for two stars as big as Kevin Owens and as big as Finn Balor, it is a shame that the last time either one of them won a world title was back in, well, it was in 2016. Kevin Owens did lose it in 2017 to fucking Goldberg. Finn Balor won the Universal Championship once and had to relinquish it 12 hours later because of an injury and never got another opportunity. Technically, Finn Balor did go back to NXT and win the NXT belt, but I'm talking about main roster championships. It's a shame that neither one of those superstars has touched a world title, because it goes without being said, they're both very deserving and are more than talented enough to be the face of a specific brand or hold a world championship for WWE. There are rumors of Finn getting a push in 2025, a singles push, kind of getting him away from Judgment Day. I fucking pray to God that he does get away from Judgment Day, because that group, one, they were popular for a little bit, they were doing good, but ever since the split, Damian Priest left, Rhea Ripley not in it. It's a mess. It's really just living Dom. Finn is on the outskirts. Get him away from them. Get him away from JD McDonough. Put him back in the tights. Get the pants off him. It doesn't look good. Give him a world championship. Kevin Owens has a good story going right now. Continue that into 2025, whether he beats Cody at the Royal Rumble or not. Have them continue that momentum and give them fucking both a world title in 2025. I can't believe it's taken this long. Triple H, these are Triple H guys too. It's like, I don't understand how Triple H hasn't put them in that position yet. Long-term storytelling. I know Roman Reigns has been taken over for the last 4 years, and Cody Rhodes, like, they have things written out, they have stories. Give these guys their flowers. Give these guys a chance, because I promise you the fans want it, I want it, everyone wants it. It'll work and it will be amazing. Just pull the trigger, Triple H, please. We are down to the last 3, and the next one I have is WWE shouldn't call up Obafemi in 2025. My thoughts on Obafemi, I think the world of him. I think so highly of him because I think he has this look. He has this character. He has so much aura around him. He is such a dominant wrestler, so athletic, so strong, and he has the capability, he has the tools of being a major star in this business. But he should have his time in NXT. He should really get some good run in NXT, because in the grand scheme of things, he is still very new to wrestling. Debuted, a year or two ago? Still has a lot of time to get better, to improve in NXT, and there are a lot of these quote-unquote monsters on the main roster, like Braun Strowman, Bronson Reed, Jacob Fatu. I know there's more superstars, but Obafemi, if he got brought up to the main roster, it's not like he's going to be the only character, the only person that is this big, intimidating figure that can run through everyone. Obafemi needs time to legitimize himself and separate himself from those people. If you let him run NXT in 2025, like he has been running NXT since he's been there, really, with his North American runs and stuff, let him win the NXT championship, because I believe that is a championship he should win on his first try against Trick Williams. Let him cement himself, as one of the GOATs of NXT. Let him be the next biggest star to graduate from NXT since guys like Carmelo and Braun Breaker, since guys like Samoa Joe, since guys like Finn Balor and Kevin Owens. Let him be in that conversation. And then by the time his run in NXT is over, he'll be on the main roster, he'll still keep his aura, and he'll be his own character that separates from those other monsters on the main roster. Second to last one, WWE shouldn't waste any time with Carmella Hayes. Carmella Hayes is being featured weekly on television, and a lot of people still have an issue that he's not getting booked like Braun Breaker, who got called up at the same time as Carmella Hayes. And I understand both megastars in NXT, both these guys are labeled as the future of WWE, and only one of them is really doing super well. Braun Breaker is a two-time Intercontinental Champion, running shit over on Raw, while Carmella Hayes was a first-round draft pick for SmackDown, but is having a harder time getting his footing. He's having a tough time going up against these big-name stars, not getting any wins, but he is still featured weekly on television, and his character right now is this cocky young kid who was hot shit in NXT, gets drafted high in the draft, and thinks he's in way over his head. He's having matches against guys like Cody Rhodes, Sami Zayn. I like the story of him figuring himself out and getting better week after week, because I think eventually that's gonna have him break through to that next level. Once he starts to get some wins under his belt, and once he starts learning and kind of maturing and getting settled to the main roster, I think that's when it's gonna jumpstart. And he doesn't have to be booked exactly like Braun Breaker, because they're two very different superstars. Braun Breaker obviously is a lot more bigger and physically gifted than Carmella Hayes. With that being said, there's no reason why Carmella Hayes shouldn't be featured in bigger storylines and featured in more championship matches like the US belt and eventually the World Championship in 2025. And the last one that I have here is WWE should not call up too many women from their NXT division. NXT's women's division is head and shoulders by far the best women's division in wrestling. I'm just gonna list off a few of the wrestlers they have in that division. We have Julia, Stephanie, Roxanne, Cora, Sol Ruca, Fallon, JC Jane, Jada Parker, Jakara Jackson, Lash Legend, Kalani Jordan, Carmen Petrovich, Lola Vice, Tatum Paxley, Thea Hale, Wendy Chu, Zarya, and there are a lot more that I'm leaving off. The counting was all weird. I was using both my hands. I wasn't counting in order, but they have so many women on their division that you might think like, oh, that means they could call up more superstars. They have such a stacked division. Why wouldn't they call up a few of them to the main roster for the women's division that might need a few of those stars? It's because continue to build up this reputation that NXT has the best women's division. Have this division cook for as long as they can. With this loaded roster, there is just an unlimited amount of potential here. Matchups, stories, putting these women in positions where every single one of them can be presented as a superstar and a future champion. And with there being two belts for these women to fight for, I think that there is plenty of reason to keep them in that division. And as time goes on, yes, with Raw going to Netflix and SmackDown going to 3 hours, a few call-ups are gonna have to be made to kind of balance out those rosters, but just don't go crazy with it. And those are the 10 things that I think WWE shouldn't do in 2025. Did you agree with me? Did you disagree with me? Let me know in the comments, and if there's anything that I left off that you think WWE shouldn't do, put it in the comments as well. Check out all the other videos on this platform, talking to myself every single Monday here on YouTube and audio streaming platforms. I appreciate you guys for watching. I hope you have a great rest of the day, and I'll see you next time. Peace.